Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I got the Lakers schedule ahead. It was just released today, about 2 hours ago. I've had a chance to listen to a few people talk about it. So let's get into it. I only got 33 minutes to talk, so you guys know I'm going to be speed reading. Bear with me, I got the info here. The Lakers are going to be starting the season at the Denver Nuggets building on a Tuesday, 4:30 on TNT. So be ready for that on the 24th of the October month. That's what that's going to be. Our second game of the season is going to be against the Phoenix Suns here in LA on TNT at 7 p.m. on a Thursday. Our third game of the season is going to be against the Sacramento Kings in SAC on 10/29. That's going to be at 6 p.m. Our next game is going to be at home against Orlando. 11:30 is the date there at 7:30 p.m. on NBA TV. And the following game there will be against the Clippers, and that'll be a home game for us, the Lakers, at 7 p.m. on ESPN, November 1st. The next game after that will be in Orlando, so we're getting Orlando Magic out the way the first week of the season. The first game is here, and the next one, of course, will be 11/4. That's the date on ESPN. So we got an ESPN game against the Magic in Orlando. That's really interesting early in the season. You don't ever see that on the schedule. After that, we're going to be having another national televised a game in Miami on Monday, 11/6 at 4:30 p.m. on NBA TV. So, yeah, getting the LeBron games out the way early here, it seems. Next up will be a meetup in Houston at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, 11/8. After that, we'll be seeing the Phoenix Suns at 7 p.m. on 11/10 on ESPN, and that begins our tournament. So we're going to be seeing them start our tournament process off. Hopefully we can get a quick and early win there against the big boys that have just assembled a very serious team. That'll be at 7 p.m. on 11/10. That's a Friday. The next game there will be the Blazers at home at 7 p.m. on Sunday, November 12th. So who knows if Dame will be on the team or not, who knows. But we will get an early look at the new look Blazers with Scoot and, of course, Shaedon Sharpe jumping around. Also, the next game will be against the Grizzlies here in Los Angeles at 7:30 on November 14th, and that also will be a tournament game. Every Tuesday and I believe every Friday will be tournament games throughout the course of November, and we had a conversation about that last week. I encourage everybody to go check out my tournament breakdown. After that, we got the Sacramento Kings here in Los Angeles on ESPN the very next day after that Grizzly tournament game. So both of those games will be home games. It's going to be a high-octane tournament game followed by a back-to-back against a contender on national television. So that's going to be an interesting little stretch there on November 14th and 15th. Next up on the 17th, which will be a Friday, we got a tournament game against the Blazers in Portland. So we know how difficult it is to win there at 7 p.m. We just got to be ready for them on that Friday night. Followed up on Sunday, we'll be seeing the Rockets here in L.A. And then following that will be another tournament game against the Utah Jazz here in L.A. at 7 p.m. And that's going to be on TNT. So those who are ready for the tournament third game will be watching it on Turner Sports at 7 p.m. The 14th game we have on our docket is against the Mavericks. Actually, I think that's the 15th. I lost count earlier and forgot to fix the count. Never mind. This is the 15th game on the docket against the Mavericks here in Los Angeles on Wednesday, November the 11th at 7:30. So y'all can try to find tickets for that one. Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving will be going up against our guys here. Followed by a road trip that's going to last a little bit. We got the first one against the Cavaliers on Saturday, 11/25 at 4:30. Our time, all of the times are going to be Pacific specifically. So if you hear time, it's all Pacific. 4:30 Pacific time, 7:30 Eastern for the Cavs in Cleveland on a Saturday night. Followed by the 76ers, who we'll be seeing on NBA TV at 4 p.m. On a Monday night. And then we continue our road trip headed to Detroit on NBA TV at 4 p.m. on a Wednesday, 11/29. And then we will be headed down to the Oklahoma City Thunder house to face them on 11:30 at 5 p.m. And that will conclude everything that goes on in November. And that's a heck of a road trip that we had to deal with there. Now, heading back home to start our December situation, we'll be seeing the Rockets at 7:30, followed by the Mavericks on, and of course that was Saturday 12/2 for those who want to see that Rockets game. Tuesday on 12/12 on TNT, we'll be seeing Mavericks once again. Just saw them, didn't we? Like literally last Wednesday. Now we're going to see them on a Tuesday, and that will be at 4:30 on TNT once again in their house. Then we have a back-to-back, both games in San Antonio. One being on Wednesday, 12/13 at 5 p.m. on NBA TV, and the other being at 4:30 on Friday the 12th on ESPN. So both of those games will be nationally televised. Wembanyama, we're going to be in San Antonio for the second half of the second week of December. That's how that goes. We got a game with the Knicks after that here in LA, 7:30 p.m. on Monday, December 18th. And then we go on another road trip where we will be seeing the Chicago Bulls on December 20th at 5 p.m. followed by 12/21, the very next night. We're going to be seeing the Timberwolves. So Chicago Timberwolves. This one's going to be at 6 p.m. The Bulls game is at 5 p.m. And yeah, that's not going to be easy. That's not going to be easy. I'll tell you right now. You never want to see us having to travel back-to-back cold cities in December. Hopefully it's a bus ride because it's Minnesota, Chicago, so it shouldn't be no flight. But you're dealing with snow and all of that, so our guys are going to be tired. I can just tell you right now. Right before Christmas, we got a nice little tough road trip. The next game obviously would be at OKC on Saturday, the 23rd of December at 5 p.m. And then we got our Christmas Day game back here at LA at 2 p.m. Boston Celtics, LA Lakers, be there, be square, ABC/ESPN. I doubt they'll put it on ESPN because of the nature of it, but they leave room for both. I think it'll be on ABC at 2 p.m. personally. But yeah, that's the big game there. And then we follow that up with a home game against the Hornets on the 28th, which is a Thursday at 7:30. And then on the 30th, Saturday night, we will be facing the Timberwolves at 5 p.m. in Minnesota. So that starts the beginning of yet another road trip, which is only going to last 2 games because we would be going to Minnesota on the 30th. And then the very next day, got to ride down to New Orleans to see the Pelicans at 4 o'clock for New Year's Eve. So that is going to be how that goes. Then we have a couple days off for the new year. On the 3rd, we would be seeing the Miami Heat here in Los Angeles on ESPN at 7:30, followed up by the Grizzlies on the 5th of January. That's a Friday, 7 p.m. on ESPN. So maybe Ja be back for that game. Not really sure, but you can start to see where you might get a chance to see him play here in LA for that game. So get your tickets for that. Followed by a Clipper home game. Lakers will have the floor on the 7th, Sunday night at 6:30. After that, we will be seeing the Raptors on Tuesday, January 9th at 7:30 here in Los Angeles as well. Grady and all those guys will be here in Los Angeles. The return of Dennis Schroeder. I'm low-key looking forward to that game. It should be a good one on Tuesday night. So next up would be a TNT matchup against the Phoenix Suns at 7 p.m. on January 11th. And of course, that's a home game. If I didn't say it already, that's on TNT, so you'll be ready for that matchup there. Then we will see the Utah Jazz in Utah, get a little altitude there at 6:30 on Saturday, the 13th of January. Followed by a home game against the Thunder on January 15th. That's an NBA TV game. Chet and the boys will be coming to town 7:30 p.m. on a Monday night. And then we got Kyrie and Luka the Don coming in. Followed that up with on the 17th of Wednesday, which will be 17th of January, which is a Wednesday at 7 p.m. on ESPN. That's the Mavericks here in LA. We'll get it right. After that, we got the Nets here coming into town 7:30 p.m. on a Friday night. That would be the 19th of January. Home game for the Lakers. Should be a fun one. And then we got Portland coming into town at 7 p.m. on Sunday. where I'm sure we'll wear our Sunday whites. 121 is the date. Portland will be here. They'll probably wear red or black or something like that because we're for sure going to wear white. So after that, we got another Clipper game. This time it's going to be their floor. It's going to be a TNT matchup on the 23rd of January, and that's a Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Be ready for that. We know we'll be ready for the Clippers at all time. Then we got our second matchup against the Chicago Bulls. After seeing them right before Christmas, we'll see them again on the 25th of January, 7:30 p.m. at Crypto.com Arena, of course. And then following that up, we'll be headed up to Golden State for an ABC matchup at 5:30 on a Saturday night on the 27th of January. That's going to be a fun one against the Warriors. It's always a big deal. And then we continue our road trip to Houston at 5 p.m. We'll be out there on the 29th of January, which is a Monday night. And then we're going to slide down the very next night for a 4:30 matchup in Atlanta against the Hawks. And that's going to be on the 30th of January, finishing off the January schedule. Our road trip, however, will continue. The fourth game of that road trip, we'll be seeing those evil Celtics at 4:30 p.m. on TNT, and that's the beginning of the month, the 1st of February. It's a Thursday night, so be ready for the Lakers and the Celtics on TNT. And then, of course, our schedule continues as we see the New York Knicks on the road. It's 5:30 p.m. ABC style on Saturday night. So be ready for ABC's matchup with the Knickerbockers. Of course, we will continue our road trip, and it finishes off in Charlotte at 4 p.m. on February the 5th against the Hornets, and that's a Monday night. And we're finally done with that dang road trip, man. That was a long road trip. How long was that damn road trip? From January 27th at Golden State all the way to February 5th at Charlotte. So the 6 game road trip at the end of January, and it's going to kick our butt pretty good, man. So we'll be ready for that. Hopefully we'll have good success with our health as well as what we're trying to do, which is win games at all times. But we, of course, will be coming back home eventually on the 8th of February. We'll see the Nuggets on TNT here at 7 p.m. on a Thursday. After that, the very next night, February 9th, we would be seeing the Pelicans, and that's an NBA TV game at 7:30. So that's back-to-back quick ones here. You don't really see that too often. You don't really see a back-to-back home type of thing, especially with both of those games being national televised games. I expect both of those teams to be playoff games, so that's going to be a low-key, tough little stretch right there. But afterwards, we would be having about 3 days off, and right before Valentine's Day, we have a matchup with the Pistons here at 7:30, Tuesday night the 13th. Be ready for that one. They got a nice young squad, so I would tell people to keep their eyes open for that matchup. And then on Valentine's Day, we will be heading up to altitude in Utah at 6 p.m. For a matchup against the Jazz. And that's going to be on a Wednesday night, of course. So that's another back-to-back we have to pay attention to in February. I'm sensing a theme here. This one is us having a game at home against the Pistons, playing that game all the way out that night, and then getting on the flight to Utah altitude for another game at 6 p.m. the very next night. I don't like that. You know I don't like that. The schedule makers kicking our butts. But at least the Pistons, you would expect not to be a great team. Hopefully we can buy ourselves some time, maybe load manage that game. We'll see how the schedule shakes out. We don't know anything yet. But that Jazz matchup the very next night, if you're not ready to run with the Jazz, who's going to score 170 points, yeah, that's bad. That's going to be bad for you. They're going to be one of the best offensive teams this year. You do not want to have a back-to-back after having to take a flight. None of that looks good to me. So hopefully we can squeeze a way to get both of those wins, but we'll be ready for them. Also, the very next game, we're going to take some time off. They knew that was some bull crap. That's why they scheduled it in the way that they did. I'm guessing, just looking at the schedule, that's going to be February 14th, that Jazz game. I'm guessing we got All-Star break coming up directly after that, because you don't see them again until the 22nd, and we will be in Golden State on TNT at 7 p.m. on a Thursday night. So that's how that goes. Whole 7 days off. I'm guessing that's the All-Star break. It looks like it is. So yeah, and after that we'll be seeing the Spurs yet again. That's a home game at 7:30 on the 23rd of February. That's a Friday night. Wembanyama matchup. Then we'll see the Suns again, and that's going to be one of them early 12:30 ABC games on a Sunday afternoon. So be ready for Phoenix. You hate those games, but we don't see too many of those on the docket. So yeah, we'll live with this one on the 25th of February, Sunday afternoon. Also, of course, we got a Clipper game coming up after that. It wouldn't be right if we didn't see the Clippers after that. ESPN, 7 p.m., Wednesday the 28th of February. That's going to be a Clipper home game. Then we got a home game against the Wizards. Of course, there's no travel because we don't have to worry about that with that game before it. The 29th, the very next night, we'll be seeing the Wizards at 7:30. So, again, back-to-back February, sensing the damn theme here. But those should be tough games. I mean, I'm going to respect the Wizards. I expect the Clippers to give us a tough night. But the Wizards are not expected to be a good team this year. But in this situation, it's near February. It's dog days, basically. It's going to be tough to win these games no matter who you're playing. It's going to be tough to wake up for some of these games depending on how the record's looking. But we move along. The Nuggets champs. See how the schedule is going in February? Yeah, got the Nuggets coming in. 5:30, of course, it's on ABC. March the 2nd, Saturday. So a Saturday night game against the champs. After all that crap we just discussed, I sense the schedule is getting harder. OKC comes up after that. It's a home game, 7:30 on the 4th of March. NBA TV will be what that will be on. Then you got a matchup against the Kings on Wednesday night, the 6th of March, 7:30. So be ready for them. These are contenders we're seeing. Don't take this lightly. After that Wizards game, it's Nuggets, OKC, Kings. It's like, oh, that's nothing to play with. Even though these are home games we're discussing, these are tough home games. The next one will be a home game as well. You think it gets any easier? No. Milwaukee Bucks will be coming to town. ESPN, 7 p.m. Friday night special. Be ready for them on the 8th of March. So this home stand is long and lengthy, but all of these games really, really look as if you're going to have to probably play overtime to win. The next one is another one. The Wolves will be coming in at 6:30 on the 10th of March. And that's the ESPN matchup. So that's what I'm seeing. It's a very, very generous homestand the schedule makers have given us. But the problem is these tough, some of the toughest teams you can see on this 5-game stretch at home. So we'll love that, but we'll also deal with it. 4 out of those 5 games are on national TV. That is not an easy stretch of home games. In fact, it might be the hardest stretch of home games I've seen in a long time. So that's what I see there. And then we got the Kings coming up in Sacramento on ESPN, yet another nationally televised game that particular month. That will be on the 13th. It's Wednesday night in Sacramento. They're going to try to light that beam. We're going to try to keep them from doing so. Big deal for sure. Also, we'll be coming back home. You're going to see a lot of home games in March. You got to like that. But it's another one of these tough ones. ABC, 5:30, Saturday night the 16th against the Golden State Warriors. So you best believe we're going to spend a lot of time in Cali, but we're going to be fighting tooth and nail doing so. The next game will be another home game against the Atlanta Hawks on the 18th of March. It's Monday night, 7:30. So we'll be ready for the Hawks that night. And that's the end of our homestand. No, it's not. It's really not. We still got another home game against the 76ers at 7:30 on NBA TV on the 22nd of March, which is Friday night. We got more home games than I've probably ever seen consecutively. There's only one road game here that I see, and that's the Kings game, which is also in California. But from the time that we faced the Suns on Christmas Day, you only have one road game till the end of the month. You can say that it's a road game, the Clipper game, but it's not because that's still your building, even though it's their floor on the 28th. But all these games are home games all the way down. You got the Kings game on the 13th, but then that's a home game with Golden State, home game ATL, home game 76ers. And I think you start a road trip with the Pacers at that point. I believe that's how that works. But I did not write down if that's a home game or a road game. So what I need to do is find that other Pacer matchup and tell us what it is. If I can find it really quickly, I will do that. But I don't see it quickly, so I am not certain. I messed up, you guys. I wrote down all of them. until that one. But apparently we hadn't seen the Pacers yet, if what I'm looking at is true. So that means that that game is at home too. Yes, it is. We got a home game against the Pacers after that 76er home game, after the 9 other home games it seems, and I didn't count that actually. But yeah, it's going to be at 7 p.m. on NBA TV on the 24th of March. So that will be our game. And then from there, we'll be seeing them further down the road. Got the Bucks coming up next, 4:30 on the 26th of March on TNT. So, of course, you ain't going to take that lightly. That's Giannis we're talking about there. We'll be seeing him if he's actually playing that game because it's the end of March. He'll probably be sitting that one out. Then we'll go into Grizzly Town. Got to play them at 5 p.m. on the 27th, the very next night, on a Wednesday night. So that road trip continues, and we'll get our Pacer game. If I'd have just looked down, I'd have seen the Pacers right there. I was panicking. You know I am. Well, where's it at? It's right in front of you. We play the Pacers several nights later, the 29th, 4 p.m., and that's Friday. So we'll be ready for another matchup with the Pacers after a matchup with the Pacers on Sunday. We'll see them again on Friday. See how close that is? All I do is look down. Anyway, and the next matchup, continuing that road trip, will be the Nets at 3 p.m. on the 31st of March. That's a Sunday. So a midday matchup against the Nets after first football game matchup, after second game football. So yeah, it's like it's a sweet game for those of you guys who want to watch football. Get that Nets game in between some of them football games right before that midday matchup. So that'll be a good one. Also, the Toronto Raptors will be the next game we see on the road trip at 4 p.m. on the 2nd of April. So the Nets game concluded our March schedule, and we go into April against the Raptors. We got to deal with DS again and everybody on their squad, followed by a matchup against the Wizards the very next night at 4 p.m. Back-to-back on the road for Toronto. Yeah, go to DC. Yeah, it's a flight probably. I don't know my East Coast stuff is correct, but that seems like that's going to be a flight near the end of the schedule. Everybody's already tired. We got a long road trip right before the playoffs. I don't know if I love that too much at all. But nevertheless, that Wizards game will be on a Wednesday night at 4 p.m. And then we get to go back home after that nice long road trip where we'll see the Cavaliers on one of them early 12:30 Saturday afternoon games. 12:30 Saturday, Cavaliers. Anyway, that's what it's going to be here in Los Angeles. And in the next game after that, be the very next day at 7 p.m. on NBA TV against the Wolves, another home game back-to-back. We're going to be so exhausted, man. I love the fact that these are home games, but you schedule them for us to be completely exhausted. Coming off a long road trip, you have us slammed together with a 12:30 Saturday game, and you got us turn around playing again on Sunday? It's the Wolves, no less. The two tower teams, Cavaliers having Allen and Mobley, and the Wolves having Gobert and Towns, and you want us to see both of those teams back-to-back in a matter of a couple hours? 12:30 one day, 7 p.m. the next day. So you get a little more than 24 hours. Anyway, Golden State Warriors will be the next game on Tuesday. 4/9 is the date there. TNT game at 7 p.m. I expect everybody to load manage that, so I don't know why TNT even waste their time with that. And then you got the Grizzly game. It's going to be 5 p.m. in Memphis on Friday night at 5 p.m. I said that, on NBA TV. That's what you want to check out, NBA TV, for that Grizzly home game against the Lakers on 4/12. And then our season ends right here at Pelicans. 4/14 is the date on a Sunday night. Another 12:30 afternoon matchup in New Orleans. And that's the end of the schedule there. Only 3 12:30 p.m. games, which is what I really appreciate. The Suns game on 2/25, which is obviously going to be a big deal. The game we just complained about, 12:30, I just saw it a couple minutes ago. Wasn't a fan of how they scheduled that. And then, of course, the Pels game was the only 3 games that they did us that way. So I'm not too angry about the early schedule part of it. Yeah, Cavs, Pels, and Suns are the only 12:30 games that we get. So that's not going to be too bad. ABC stuff. They got LeBron's games out the way. Any of the games that you must see LeBron play in, whether it be in Miami, in Cleveland, they got those out the way in the first couple weeks of the season, so you see that for sure. Um, you know, I reacted in real time, of course, as you guys just saw, to everything that there was to see. But I can tell you this: there's a huge gap that I think is really noteworthy, and I don't think I mentioned it, between 12-2 and 12-12. It's 10 straight days where there's no basketball for the Lakers. It's not the All-Star game. It's between the Rockets game and a Mavs game, random Mavs game. So I hate 10 days off in the middle of the season. I hate that so much. If it ain't an All-Star break, I don't want to see it. It's probably good for the team, but it just seems like it's slapped into a weird point in the season. Early in the year, early December, that gap I don't think is going to cover what we're going to be expecting in terms of fatigue when you look at how they do things at the end of the schedule here. When we just complained about, it's like you think that little 10-day gap is going to make up for all of that crunching together at the end of the schedule. I don't. I think it could be good at any point in the season when you have 10 days off. Knick-knack injuries are expected. That'll give you a chance to get health. But we're going to have so much cramming going on at the end of the season, believe it or not, especially with the home games, followed by a long Eastern Conference road trip. I see an Eastern Conference road trip in December with back-to-back games in cold weather. So it's like, it's some stuff here. Well, you'll look at the schedule and say, oh, okay, the Lakers got a lot of home games at the end. But then you look at those home games, see how they're scheduled. You're like, yo, what the hell, dude? We got old players. We got a guy that's 39 on our team. And you're going to ask him to do some of this stuff. And I'm just not thrilled about it. But, I mean, you take what they give you. You know what I mean? I've seen worse. This isn't the worst schedule we've seen. There's certainly less to complain about than maybe we saw last year or the year before, in my opinion. But there's also more to study here. That's what I say. Since it just came out, I don't think my reaction really does it justice. But I can tell you that some of these gaps, I wish they would have came a little bit in the end of the season. That big 10-day gap would have been great if they could have slapped it right before that road trip on the 26th of March. I would have loved to see that 10-day gap right there. Because you had all those slapped-together home games, all that stuff, give our guys a chance to relax, get ready for the playoffs, get ready for a long road trip, followed by some hard-nosed playoffs, which is what I'm expecting. And some teams that are likely going to be in the play-in tournament area for the last couple of games. Look at Golden State, Grizzlies, Pelicans. These teams will be fighting for their lives. The Wolves, they're going to be fighting for their lives, man. Nothing's going to be solidified for those teams. So those last 4 games are going to be dog, walking, fighting, drag out. Kick them down, you better be ready type stuff. And I'm telling you, the schedule we will have just came out of, we're going to be beat around, kicked around. I'm not mad at Darvin Ham for using a lot more of his bench this season looking at the schedule. We're going to need the depth. We're going to need to allow for guys to be exhausted and just not have a lot. They're going to be contenders in altitude. Utah and Denver are both contenders. So we got to be ready for that this season. And it's very important to understand. So that is really what I got to say. I'm glad I was able to get through that schedule under 33 minutes. I hate that I just yelled numbers at you and dates and stuff, but that's really all you have time to do with 33 minutes in an 80-game schedule. But all in all, my reaction to the schedule is fair. Like I said, it's still early, so I don't really know what I'm looking at. It's hard to assess who's good, who's not. So when you look at the schedule, you say, ooh, that should be a soft schedule. I don't know. What's soft? You don't know. OKC could be a contender. Orlando could be a contender. With some of the upside of some of these young teams, you just don't know. A team like Utah, I expect for them to be able to average crazy amounts of scoring so they could be a contender. You just don't know. You know what I mean? Dallas, are they going to be any good? Are they going to be great? The ceiling and the floor for a team like that is vast. Miami, same thing. Milwaukee, same thing. It's just certain teams where it's like, because of how they're constructed, one false injury, one bad injury could send them tumbling down the standings in a year where I expect all these teams to kind of be fighting with the same record, more or less. Everybody hovering in between 40 games and 30 games, like just about everybody. So when you start thinking about predictions of how many games you expect your team to win, I'm telling y'all, if you're following me, we're throwing that out the window before the season starts. Who gives a damn? Just make sure you're in the top 10. If you land amongst the stars, you win. That's what it's about. You need to make the playoffs. It don't matter what your record is because everybody's record should basically be the same. It should be nothing but like 5 games separate everybody in the Western Conference. Make the playoffs. Be in the mix and you've got it. It doesn't matter if you're number 1. It honestly doesn't matter if you're number 10. Just get in. So that's pretty much what I'm telling everybody. I don't care about our record. Just get in. And we can do damage from there. Be healthy, get in. So that's what I got to say, man. For those who are wondering if I want James Harden on this team, no. I like James Harden, the weapon, but it comes with too much baggage for me. And I don't care for the idea of what he's going to want in free agency at the end of the season. I don't want to have nothing to do with that. I'm sorry. For the problems that he's going to bring to the table, hypothetically, based on his tendency to be unhappy and want to leave and to disrupt things in trying to leave, that tendency is not something I'm going to give him an opportunity to do to our club. Not at $35 million expiring. I don't need an expiring $35 million contract as bad as I need the cohesiveness of this team being together. His talent could send us over the top, but his antics could send us to the toilet, and it's not worth it. So that's what I got to say about that. It was not worth a whole video because if you guys follow me, you already know that. He's a hell of a piece to bring in. But if I can't guarantee that I'll be able to retrade him upon request because of any little thing that's possible, he makes up too much of my cap for me to have that problem with, especially if he's expiring. I don't need that. I don't need that. So that's where I'm at with that. Hell of a weapon, though. If LeBron James just has to bring him in, I will consider it based on the level of talent that he can be. But here's the problem with that. The Westbrook experiment. We already went down that road. You already pushed for a guy that we probably shouldn't went for. So that makes it so that that credibility that I would have granted you has already been granted and it failed. Stay the course. No James Harden. So that's pretty much it, man. That's what I wanted to throw into this video because it hadn't been addressed from a Lakers standpoint. And I know people want my opinion on that. Attractive piece. Too much baggage. Expiring. Not as attractive. BDL 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.